sure we'll have some stragglers, but I think it's probably time to get started. Of course, I'm Jim Riticher, and I'm the council representative-elect for Dunwoody District 2. And I'm here tonight because while I had a chance to listen to a lot of folks out on the campaign trail, before I take office, I'm not in office yet. It's worth pointing out that I am still councilman-elect. Office swearing happens on Thursday, January 2nd, in a special called city council meeting. Everybody's invited to come. And, I think it'll really just be more of a formality type event. I don't know that there will be much business. John, maybe you can speak to that.
Haven't seen the agenda.
Okay. But anyway, I'd like to, I'm here because I talked to a lot of folks on the campaign trail, but before I take office, I wanted to give it a chance for folks who I maybe didn't get a chance to talk with, the opportunity to talk about their concerns, for the city, what they want me to be especially attentive to as I take office, and can represent the folks of Dunwoody District 2. Before we get started, I'd like to thank the Monsignor and Mary Bowles here at All Saints for allowing us to use this nice facility. There are a lot of us here who vote in this room. I voted in this room for 20 years, so it's a familiar place for me.
We went to the dance. He was too old.
I'd like to thank the reporter and the MASH for publicizing the event. I'd like to thank my supporters and the voters. I'd like to welcome everyone. And thanks for coming out in the rain. It's an ugly night out there, and thanks for bearing with it. Ground rules, and I'm making this up as I go along. I've never done this before. I'm new to this. Here we are. For ground rules, I'd like to say applause only. Let's not, if there's something you don't like, just let's hear from, what you do like and what you do want, and maybe we'll ask the question, if folks like the opposite, we'll applaud for that. Please respect the person who has the floor, and please respect the need to allow others to speak, and when it comes time to close out a topic, we close out the topic. I do only have one microphone. I've learned that I have a need for a microphone mixer, but again, we're learning as we go here. I have two microphones, but only a way to input one, so we'll have to work with that a little bit. And really, I'm here to listen to you. So, who would like to start?
Well,
yes, sir.
I was trying to find on the website what the priority for the sidewalks are, or what are they going to be paved. Yeah, I'm delighted for Dunwoody to be a walkable and a bicycle community, but I'm concerned that the folks who really need the sidewalks, that would be the folks in those apartments on the frontage road of Peachtree Industrial, are being left out. Sidewalks around here for the joggers and the dog walkers, but they really need the sidewalks to get to the stores and for the people who can't afford to have an automobile. So I would like to see the sidewalks of Winters Chapel from Peachtree Dunwoody to the Walmart grocery store, and also down the frontage road to from Winters Chapel to Tilly Mill.
So just to make sure I understand, basically the PIV frontage roads.
Right.
I think there may be a similar need along Cotillion, is it? Yeah. John's shaking his head yes, so let's just add that to the list. All right, Ingrid.
To add to what this gentleman said, I have been pushing for sidewalks on Tilly Mill Road from at least from Sherry Drive up to Womack, where the students to the college walk every day, every hour, at least one person, sometimes two and three. They refuse to go to the other side of the street where there's a sidewalk. I guess it's human nature. Why take those extra steps? put your life at risk. They'd rather walk in the street. And that is not a safe environment, as we all know. We must have at least 4,000 cars or more a day coming through, going to and from that college. There needs to be that sidewalk. I don't care what the city's plans are for the intersection down at North Peachtree and Keeler. I don't care what they are down at Tilly Mill and Mount Vernon. They need to put it in before some kid is killed on that street.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to address the issue with roads here in Dunwoody. They're getting progressively worse. I'm a mechanic, not by trade, a shade tree nonetheless, since I was about 17 years old. Every time you hit a bump in the road, you might as well throw $1 out. Every time you hit a pothole, you throw out $10, $20, $50. That's a hidden tax. They should be spending, the city should be spending money on the roads instead of this nonsense with every little project that they can think of, they can put their name on. That's all I've got to say about that.
I guess just to add to that, you know, I think there's a 50-yard stretch in front of the BP in Dunwoody Village that is a great example. I challenge anyone to cruise through there at the speed limit, heading eastbound in front of the BP in that first lane.
I probably don't need that. If y'all can't hear me, just raise your hand and I'll talk loud. I'm here for 2 reasons. One, I attended a lot of the Charter Commission meetings, and there was a lot of anger and so forth at those meetings. However, we don't have that document, and we still don't know if we are going to be allowed to vote on issues out here, or if there is a piece that was added to that charter that will take our right to vote away. And that's something I'd like, I don't want it discussed tonight, but I'd like for somebody to get a hold of the document. I'd like the press, Sue, if you all would cover that, and Joe just walked in, if you would cover that, and let us know what ended up in the document. It's our right to know that, and we were really concerned when we thought we were going to lose our right to vote on the millage rate.
No, hasn't come
So,
to us.
I'm not asking for discussion. I just want to see the end result, and I think a lot of people here would agree with that. The second,
Why can't the city post that on their website?
I'm sure we can. That document goes to the state legislature, and the state legislature discusses and votes on it. Does not come to city council. I'm sure it's available, and I'm sure it can be made available if it's not already.
That's where I got the document from, the hard copy that I requested. Was from the city, so why don't you just ask them to put it on the webpage?
I'll find a copy of
If
it.
that's okay with
I'll
people,
find a copy.
And they can just PDF it.
But-
look in there and see if they in any way changed it so that we would lose our right to vote on the millage rate.
Well,
Because there was a lot of talk about the loop for the money for the fire department and all of that. It got very complicated. And you had to go to every meeting and listen to every word.
It has the recommendations, but it also has, it's a big section in the back of public comments on the things that weren't recommended. So there's a lot of comments by individual, by name, of what the particular comments are. It's probably about that thick, I would guess, the hard copy. So
Well,
I think a lot of the stuff's in what you're looking for is in
Yeah,
there.
I'd be willing to read it. The second sort of tags along with that, because I didn't hear this discussed, but I heard it after the fact that there's a recommendation that Jim and Jim alone cannot make go before the council. That one person, which we've had for 5 years, somebody wants to change it where 2 people have to agree to go have an audience before the council. And I would love to see that written about in the paper too, because I'm going to give Jim a quote, and I think it's pertinent. For years I thought Andrew Jackson wrote it, and now they've decided Thomas Jefferson wrote it. But one man, this is history, but one man with courage makes a majority. This man's got a lot of courage, and so he's going to get in there and he's going to do a good job. He's going to talk with us, and we're going to listen to him, and he's going to listen to us. But I'd like for it to be left alone that one person can go. We got some great ideas out here. Why do we have to have a committee? Why can't one person raise their hand and have something? That's all I got to say. Thanks.
Thanks, Cheryl.
I just wanted to ask Fran, is that in there? Where it is gonna take, that's a
There are 10
recommendation?
recommendations. There's a recommendation on the fire service. There's a recommendation on, to put an agenda on the item on the agenda, to have 2 people support it.
That is on there? Now, on the fire service, is it a recommendation to, for the mayor and city council to make the decision as to whether or not our ad valorem taxes are raised?
It sets up a fund, and I'm going to remember because I'm not in front of me.
Okay.
And I got the hard copy to go through because it's like I said, it's pretty clear. It says that you can set a separate fire charge, for lack of a better term, okay? And the rate cannot exceed the average of the last 3 years' rate. I think it's 3 years' rate. So, for example, if you're paying extra fire 1 year, extra fire the next year, then it cannot exceed the average of the, I think it's 3 years, not 5, I think it's 3 years.
Well, who makes the decision on raising our ad valorem taxes? Because I know at one time they
If
had
you
it
look
in
at your
there.
property tax bill, you've got a specific charge in there with a millage rate for
I
fire.
understand that.
Okay, what I'm telling you, the way this recommendation reads, if the decision is made that Dunwoody takes over fire protection, the rate cannot exceed that number that's on there already, and it should be the basis of over the last 3 years. It can't be more than that 3-year average. And I don't know what the 3-year rates are off the top of my head, but it won't be more, it will not be more than what you are paying right now, is what I'm telling you, based upon the way the recommendation is written.
That's not my question. My question is, who makes the decision?
The mayor and the council.
The mayor and the
They
council,
would make
as
the
far
decision.
as funding goes, to increase our millage rate
No, they're not.
over the 3.04?
They're not increasing your millage rate. Your millage rate is shown on your tax bill. It shows a rate for fire, specifically by itself. What I'm telling you is the rate cannot exceed the 3-year average for that rate. It does not, they're not raising the millage rate on that. If they choose to have Dunwoody fire versus DeKalb fire, they can't raise it over and above that 3-year average. So they're not raising the millage rate, I'm telling you. I don't know how else to explain it.
Okay.
The millage rate.
They're not re-
The millage rate is gonna stay the same. It's gonna change, the millage rate's not gonna change. Here, if we take on fire, we're only gonna be getting the portion of if you look at your property tax bill, we will only be getting that portion, so that's all we're talking about. That is not figured into the millage rate because it's a service. So your service fee for fire is separate from the millage rate. The millage
Well, it's a
rate-
millage rate, but it's a separate millage
Right.
rate.
It's
It's a separate millage rate from the basic services that you give to the city. It's a line item, just like your sanitation. Your sanitation shows that you pay $250 flat charge.
Correct.
Okay? Same thing, it's separate from the regular city services. It's a separate line item on your tax bill. You can file.
And that portion, whoever asked the question about the millage rate, the fire is separate. Your millage rate is not going to change, and no, we haven't changed, or there are no plans to change anything about the charter, so we still have the cap on 3.17?
It's 3.04 is the cap, and the current millage rate has always been, since 5 years, is 2.74.
Correct. Yeah, I knew that. I knew that.
Ed?
We were just talking among ourselves quietly and asking, was this commission report ever released to the general public before it's gone to be voted upon
No,
by
that
the
was-
legislature?
That was Caroline's question is,
We don't recall
it has
seeing
not been
it.
released to the public.
Well, this is what we're saying. I was going to say, if it has been, please correct me. However, if it hasn't been, and these proposed changes are going to be voted on by people who don't live here, then I'd like to know why that is, number one. And we have been told, my husband and I have been told, oh, you've got to be involved, you've got to go to these meetings. Well, I was involved before all of the city stuff was set up. I was involved in the meetings to choose resumes for the city manager, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm saying, why bother?